Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first series, I guess, on this new channel. I was debating whether or not to do Half-Life or Thief. I figured Half-Life would be more ideal as a sort of a first game to do an essay on and to play through, but ultimately everyone and their dog knows about Half-Life and has talked about it, so I wanted to do something a bit more obscure. I mean, not to say that this is like super obscure, but it's still a lot more obscure than Half-Life. So yeah, this is a Thief. Thief the Dark Project. This is the Gold Edition. It is more likely that you're gonna find this at storefronts and whatnot. This is a lot more available than the original version. So this is the one that I'll be covering. I will be talking about the differences between this and the base game, the original release, as we go. But for now, all you have to know is that the Gold Edition has 3 extra missions and some changes and improvements to existing missions, as well as a improved version of the Dark Engine, which is the engine that the game runs on. But that's the shortened version of it. Anyway, before we start, I do want to take a look at these options here, because this is a fresh install. I am running T-Fix, as you can see down there, which is pretty much essential if you want to run this on modern hardware. But besides that, this is a completely vanilla playthrough. I was considering maybe using the HD mod to make it more modernized, but at the same time, that wouldn't really do it justice for my channel to have a sort of a modified, experience. I want to go full vanilla, so yeah, let's see. Joystick, yeah, off. That's fine. Just make sure that my keybinds, because the default keybinds in Thief are honestly really jank, so just want to make sure. Okay, crouch C. Yeah, that seems fine. For video, that's fine. For audio, I do want to lower the volume a bit, because I am a bit conscious about whether or not you can actually hear me.
Left, right.
Okay, I think that should be good enough. Maybe a little bit higher. I can boost it. I'm also recording this simultaneously, and I can boost it in the footage for the video anyway. Video's fine. Game, attached ladders jump, auto search bodies off. Okay, go notification, I do want those on. Auto equip, I do want that off. Okay, good. Okay, there we go. So without further ado, that is delayed enough already. Let's start a new game. And normally I would skip the training, but this is one of the few instances where the training is actually important. Because it's part of the story in a way. It gives some much needed background to what's going on. So that's why this is probably going to be the only episode, the only stream where it's going to be 2 missions in one. Otherwise I'm going to do only 1 mission in one go. Since these missions can be kind of lengthy. So let's start the training.
I was a kid. No parents, no home. Running messages and picking pockets to keep my ribs from meeting my spine. One night I saw a man. Folks just passed him by like he wasn't there. I thought he must have something valuable, so I snuck up on him and made a grab.
That's not for you.
Please, sir, I'm hungry. Don't tell the Hammers, I promise.
What is your name, boy?
Garrett.
You have talent, lad.
Let go of me, old man.
To see a keeper is not an easy thing, especially one who does not wish to be seen. We have a need for those as gifted as yourself. If you've grown tired of how you live, then follow me, and we will show you a different way.
Leave me alone.
As you wish.
I caught up with him just before he vanished into the crowd. It was the beginning of a very long education.
Alright, so the way this game works is it is basically split into missions. So you go mission by mission, and in between the missions you have these really stylish cinematics that just give a bit of background about the mission and sort of progress the story. So yeah, this is just a basic tutorial mission, the basic training, but the reason why I wanted to go through it is because, well, obviously it's a good introduction for anyone new to this, but also it has that story exposition at the beginning. So our main character, Garrett, is a very young lad here, but obviously an experienced thief. So it catches the eye of these this organization, this secret organization called the Keepers. They're basically sort of the Illuminati of this world. Not many people know that they exist, so yeah, the guy, the Keeper there, was quite impressed that Garrett could spot him, so he decided to take him in, and this is basically the training that Garrett went through. So it's a very simple mission. It only has one objective: follow the directions of your instructor in order to pass the training tests.
Welcome, young Garrett. In the nearby rooms, I will instruct you in the various skills you will need to survive. Please stay in the entrance area to each room while I explain the room's purpose. When you are ready to begin your lessons, proceed down this hallway to the first room.
Alright, and there's probably no need to say this, but this is a stealth game.
You must learn how to move unseen. Stay in the shadows. Avoid the light. The indicator on your screen will tell you how visible you are. Try to reach the top of the platform without being seen.
Alright, so the basic idea is you gotta keep an eye on your light gem down at the bottom there. The brighter it is, the higher the chance there is of enemies detecting you. And in this case, we have to just stick to the shadows. Very simple mechanic. But it works wonders once you're actually in the real game.
Well done. I did not see you approach.
Open this door to continue. When the door is near the center of your screen, it will light up, indicating that it is selected. To manipulate selected doors and other objects, use them. Good. Proceed down this corridor for your next test.
And the way you use items is kind of convenient. Oh, you can also check your map at any time by pressing M. So, yeah, this is the map of the entire level. The map is always hand-drawn, and it won't always be as descriptive as this one. But because this is the tutorial, this is a very straightforward map. We start at the library, we're currently in the training halls, there's only 2 of them. The first one focuses on light, and the other one focuses on sound. Then the courtyard is sort of going to be the combat section, like the combat training. And then we have a little obstacle course at the very end to test our abilities and stuff, our movement.
Now you must learn to move quietly. Some surfaces are louder than others when walked upon, and moving quickly makes more noise than moving slowly. Listen to your own footsteps to hear how much noise you are making. The instructor will have his back turned. You must get to the top of the platform without being heard.
Now, as the guy explained, certain surfaces will pretty much guarantee that you're gonna get hurt. Like metal and I believe it was marble tiles. Whilst others, like grass and carpet or moss, basically make you move without alerting anyone.
Very good. I did not hear you traverse the room.
Beyond this door is a hallway that will lead you to your next task.
So yeah, one thing I really appreciate about this game that I will be talking about in my video essay is how it handles sound. There is no games before or since that has mastered the use of sound in stealth as much as this game has.
Now get your weapons. To pick up objects, select them by centering them on screen until they light up. Then use them. Choose your weapon now. Try readying your sword and then your bow. You can always put them away again if you need your hands free. Now let's go out to the courtyard for some target practice.
Yeah, so you have two weapons, your sword, which is obviously your melee weapon, and then you have a bow. And the bow is gonna be the most useful weapon because it has several types of arrows. These are not really covered here in the tutorial, which I think is quite a shame because you're gonna be using them a lot. So I will explain those as we gather them, but for now all we have is regular old broadhead arrows, which obviously deal damage.
Ready your bow. Knock an arrow and draw back the string by holding down the attack button. Make sure you draw all the way back, or your shot will not have full power. Take aim, and when you are ready to shoot, release your attack. See if you can hit one of these targets. Good shot. Keep practicing if you wish. When you are ready to proceed, approach the training dummy and ready your sword.
I'm gonna try to get bullseye on all of these. I don't always succeed, but... I already failed there. Not bad, at least I hit the targets. Right, now it's time for the melee training.
Swing at the target with the attack button. A quick tap will give you a slash. Move the tip of your sword to the left of the target for a left slash, and to the right of the target for a right slash. Hold the attack button down, then release for an overhead swing. Try both slashes and the overhead swing on the practice dummy. Good job, you're ready for a live opponent. To practice against your partner, enter the cobbled sparring area.
So the combat is jank by design, since you aren't really supposed to combat, obviously. You're supposed to sneak around. You can also block with your middle mouse button, however that doesn't really work out. Most of the time...
When you are done, leave the sparring area.
So I'm gonna keep going here for a while, but most of the time you can actually handle one enemy like this if you just circle around him and keep hitting him as you circle. There's almost no way for him to hit you like this, unless he's extremely fast, but there's almost no enemies that are fast enough. I've actually mastered the combat in this game from playing it so much, and I can handle 2, maybe even 3 enemies at once. Although most of the time I obviously opt for stealth. But if things get messy, I usually do this, unless the objectives of the mission state otherwise. Anyway, that's enough of that.
That's enough sparring for today. Please walk over to the table. Would you care for some refreshment before we move on, young Garrett? Please pick up all of the items on this table.
We have a key, an apple, and a potion.
Cycle through your inventory to see the objects you have in your pockets. Once an object is displayed, you may use it. Have something to eat if you wish. Then you may proceed. The next test is waiting on the other side of the metal door. The door is locked, but the key from the table will open it. To unlock the door, select the key in your inventory. Center the door on screen until it lights up. Then use the key on the door. Good. Now head down this hallway to get to your next test.
Alright, before we move on, you can actually go in here if you're fast enough. I didn't showcase it this time, but there is an Easter egg behind this door. It's like a very weird like basketball course, and there's a note there that basically has some comments from the developers while they were developing the game, like from their office, like basically inside jokes and stuff. It's very interesting. You can look it up on YouTube if you're curious, or just play the game for yourself. And that was added in Thief Gold. In the original game, it's not there. I believe it's just a hallway that ends after a while. Right, and one playstyle that a lot of people like to do in this game, especially veterans, is ghosting, and that basically means that you attempt to do every mission without being seen even once, and additionally also leaving behind everything in its original state. I believe that's called supreme ghosting. I won't be doing that for this playthrough. It's just going to be a casual playthrough, but I will try to at least like close and lock doors behind me. If only for immersion's sake, because this is an immersion sim.
Now you will learn new movement skills. First, climb the rope by jumping onto it. Move while looking up or down to climb up or down the rope. Turn to change your facing. If you jump again, you will release the rope. Now climb the rope to get to the top of the platform. Well done. Run and jump across the gap to the other side of the stream. Good jump. This obstacle is easy to climb if you know how. First, move close to the wall. Next, jump to grab the edge of the wall and pull yourself up. Good job. I am most pleased with your progress. You have passed the last test for today. If you wish, you may stay to practice your climbing and jumping, or swimming, ducking, leaning, or crawling.
When you are finished, you may return to your chambers by going through that red door. Farewell.
Alright, so there are a few things that the tutorial doesn't show you here. The first thing is there is a stream down here and you can swim. Obviously you have a air meter, although it doesn't appear in the tutorial because I guess it would be weird if you die in the tutorial, I don't know. But yeah, swimming is, it's basically like flying almost. A lot of older games handle swimming this way. It feels like you're flying through the water. I guess it's serviceable, but it can feel a little bit strange. Especially if you come from modern games. Another thing that I want to mention, let me just climb up the rope. And ropes are going to be very useful for us. Eventually we are going to be able to make our own ropes using rope arrows, but that's for later. So if you actually jump, in this game only, you get a speed boost. This isn't long enough to showcase it properly, but you get a bit of a speed boost. So if you have like a long corridor, you can just keep jumping and jumping and jumping, and you're going to keep getting more and more speed. I'm pretty sure that's a bug, and it is fixed in Thief 2. But for some reason it's not fixed in Thief 1, even if you use New Dark, and this is the New Dark engine, so yeah. Another thing is that this mantling, I don't think it's a New Dark feature, but New Dark changes the mantling and makes it easier to mantle on basically any surface, any wall, whereas before I think it was basically hard-coded. So you can actually use the mantling to basically skip areas of the game. I won't really be doing that, except in one instance, which we'll get to in the third mission. But that is something that I'm pretty sure you can use in speedruns and such. So the movement is a little bit jank at times, especially with the physics, but overall it does feel very nice.
The keepers were training me to be one of them, but I found other uses for those skills.
And that was our first piece of loot for the entire playthrough. There we have it, mission complete. Now, the difficulty doesn't really change anything in the tutorial, but it will change in the following missions, and I will get to that. Let me just pop a save here. And at the end of the mission, you can see all of your objectives. We completed the only one, and also your stats. So far, it's only the total time. Even though there was loot there, that was the only piece of loot in the entire mission, just sort of to introduce you that, yeah, there's loot you can pick up, and you probably should because the game is called Thief. But it doesn't really track it in this mission, which is interesting. But we can continue now.
I have a simple job planned for this evening. Break into a guarded mansion, steal another fat nobleman's priceless trinket, and leave quietly. Lord Bafford is out of town, and rumor has it that the captain of his house guard went with him as a bodyguard. The time is ripe for a bit of burglary. The front gate of Lord Bafford's manor is always guarded, and the main street is far too exposed. But Cuddy tells me there's a better way in, around to the side, more out of the way. One guard, and likely no witnesses to complicate matters. The piece Cuddy wants is a scepter, silver, jewels, the usual adornments. It should command a high price. Bafford, like most of his kind, probably keeps his treasures on the top floor of the place, close to his heart, and far from his servants. No point in waiting. I have Cuddy's old sketches of the place, and everyone who's going to be asleep inside already is. It's time to begin.
Alright, so this is our first Rio mission. It is a very traditional mission, wherein we just break into a guarded mansion to loot the place and then get out. And here's what I meant with the difficulties. So the way this game handles difficulty is quite interesting, and I wish more games handled difficulty this way. Instead of changing like the stats of enemies and whatnot, it changes your objectives and sort of like unlocks new areas of the mission in some cases as well. So you can see that in normal difficulty, all we have to do is sneak in, grab the scepter, and that's it. That's literally it. On hard, however, we have a couple of additional objectives. So one of them is to get some extra loot. Don't kill any servants, but you can kill guards. And we have to get out. And on expert, we have to get even more loot and don't kill anyone, even guards. So I highly recommend, if you play this game for the first time, to play on at least hard. It might sound scary because, you know, oh, why should I play on hard? Like, I'm new to this game, but it really isn't that much harder than normal, and it unlocks some of these new objectives. Usually, in most cases, expert doesn't really have any extra objectives. It's literally just get even more loot and don't kill any guards. But on hard, you do get a much better experience than on normal. But yeah, for the first mission, this is a very simple one, obviously. We need to sneak into Lord Bafford's manor and case the place. The warehouse in the back is our best bet. If we can get the key from the guard, blackjacking or pickpocketing him would be quietest. So it literally tells you what you can do. Second objective is to find Lord Bafford's prized jeweled scepter and redistribute it to ourselves. We need to try to do it without causing too much commotion. However, again, you don't really have to ghost it necessarily. If you get spotted, that's not really a problem, as long as you don't get killed or kill anyone. In the case of expert, you're gonna be fine. In addition to pinching the scepter, we need to steal 700 worth of valuables while we are in the manor. Normally, this is not all the loot in the level. Usually, when you play on expert, it's about 50 to 75% of the loot in a given level. On hard, it's about 25 to 50%, and on normal, it's either no loot or up to like 10-15%. So you don't have to get all of the loot in a level, but you have to get a good amount. We mustn't kill anyone while we do the job. No servants, no guards, no pets, no one, even though there are no pets. This is a bit misleading because there is a bunch of spiders that you can encounter in the caves before you enter the manor, and you're free to kill those. So, and this goes true for basically all missions. If there is a non-human entity, so a spider, a burrick, I'll get to those once we get there, a zombie, anything like that, you can actually kill those. You're only not allowed to kill humans. So keep that in mind. And the last objective, once we've achieved our other objectives, we need to get out of the manor house and back to the city streets. In almost all missions, even on normal, in some later missions, we have to also leave the area that we're in. So it's not just a matter of, oh, let's jump inside and steal the loot. There we go, we're done. No, you also have to leave. So you gotta be very careful with how you traverse basically the manor, because the mission won't be over once you get what you came for. You also have to leave, which also makes it very immersive. Additionally, at the start of every mission, you have this sort of store section, I guess. We have some starting cash here, and once we complete this mission, all of the cash that we get from this mission will carry over to the next one. And we can use the cash to basically buy some equipment, and it is very important to note that if you don't spend any cash, it will not carry over to the next mission. Only the cash that you find in the current mission will carry over. So that's why you should really just spend all of your cash. You don't really have to worry about overspending, because you really aren't overspending anything. So yeah, this is our starting gear, and I'm gonna buy 1 health potion and 2 water arrows. I'll explain the water arrows as we go. I guess I can explain it now because there is some info here already. So our sword is our lethal form of defense. We're almost never gonna use this thing. Only in a few missions where there's, as I said, non-human enemies. We're gonna use the sword because it's a lot more effective at killing than the blackjack. The blackjack is probably our most valuable tool. It is used to knock down enemies unconscious without killing them. So once we knock down an enemy, it will never wake up. It's gonna be knocked down until the end of the mission, basically. We do have to hide the body though, because if another enemy spots a knockdown enemy, they will get alerted, and they might even, in some cases, alert everyone else in the facility if there is an alarm nearby. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, the blackjack is our most valuable tool. Healing potions are pretty self-explanatory. They just heal you. Water arrows are probably the most useful arrows, even more so than the regular broadhead arrows, because you can use them to douse not just torches but flames in general, and therefore create areas of darkness where you can sneak through. It's very, very nice. I wish more games, more stealth games had things like this. And of course, regular broadhead arrows, you can just use them to damage enemies from a distance. Again, this is something that we're barely gonna use throughout this Let's Play. We can also review our goals here, which are obviously the same. We can also check the map, and yeah, as you can see, it's a very crude map. The front entrance and like the first floor are very well mapped for us. Yeah, like we really shouldn't try frontal assault here because it's heavily guarded. The map tells us there is a secret arrow cache, well, quote-unquote secret, that we can pick up on route. And yeah, the intended way is to go through the well house here at the back, where there's only one guard, and we can pickpocket him for his key or knock him out. We can do whatever. So you can technically go in guns blazing. It is possible, but it's not easy at all. And especially if you're playing on expert, you really have to kill everyone in order to do this. So this is only really a viable strategy on normal. On expert, you're gonna fail if you kill anyone. So yeah, we're gonna do it the intended way, obviously. But I just want to let you know that there is multiple ways to do certain missions, which is pretty cool. And the second floor is pretty much the same layout as the first floor, and all we have to go off of is that maybe the scepter is in the throne room at the back. So yeah, it's spoiler alert, it is on the second floor. Alright, and review briefing just plays the animation again, so we're not gonna do that. Pop a save, and I am gonna use the quick save feature a lot, just so you know. However, I do want to actually change it because it does interfere with my OBS controls. So I'm gonna change it to, I think, F1 and F2, because that's those ones, and I never use those hotkeys. So quick save, let's put it at F1, and load quick save at F2. Okay, it's gonna be a bit tricky for me because I'm used to F10 and F12, or F10 and F11, but F10 starts the stream, and that might actually close the stream for me. So yeah, I gotta make sure that.
Hey, a few too many to try to get by here.
You wanna come with? Couldn't pay me enough. What? You soft belly. The bears have got these new muzzles.
Shut up, you taffer. You want blood? You should have been there years ago. Tell you, the bears then, they were something to see. Those bears, they didn't need no cheek spikes and razor collars and paw hooks and all that knifery you straps to them now.
No paw hooks? What'd they do? Just bump into each other?
Huh? Nah. The bears back then, they had claws as long as your finger and wicked teeth.
Bears? You're topping me. They look pretty mangy harmless, long as they're not wearing harness.
That's why I can't stand the pits now. You don't know what you missed. They just don't make bears like they used to.
Whoa! Killer bears! Would have liked to see that.
So another thing I love about this game is all the flavor that it has. Like, I guess you could call it soul. Like, there's a lot of these conversations between guards and servants that you can eavesdrop on, and sometimes they give you hints about where to find certain items or what to do. But in other cases, it's just useful flavoring. Like, you can completely skip this if you want, but I wanted to show it to you guys. Because it's just so funny. So yeah, as you can see, we have 3 guards here, and there's an additional 2 guards immediately inside. So obviously that's a no-go. So what we have to do instead is we can also take that route. It will lead us to the well as well. But I usually go this way because it's quicker. And what's cool is that there is some guards here as well on the outskirts, but they won't really find you suspicious. And here's that arrow cache, by the way. Some water and regular arrows. And yeah, this that other street leads down this way.
How's it going?
Yeah, see that guy. You hardly ever see this though, unfortunately, in the game. Guards that don't get alerted to you by just seeing you.
Only one guard. Still, it'd be nice to get the drop on him.
Yeah, so this guy is drunk, so we can literally just approach him and pickpocket him or knock him out. But instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the sewers. There is a sewer section here. You don't have to do this, but I want to show off like the quote-unquote proper or the optimal way to do it. So there is a gate here that you can't open up, and instead you have to go inside of here. Click this lever and you're gonna open the gate. And there is a very easy to miss piece of loot here. Now, I'm not gonna show off every single piece of loot in every mission. Because personally, even though I've done it before, I've completed the game 100% and got all of the loot. I don't remember all of it, but I do remember most of it. So this is a very easy piece of loot to miss, just so you know. You don't even need it for export, because the mansion has enough loot for you already. Yeah, that is... we can actually select it. That is 200 loot right off the bat. So very easy to miss, but very valuable. And now if we climb up here, we're gonna emerge right behind the well house. Or besides even. And now we can pickpocket the guy and we can also knock him out.
Any more helpful?
Now, the other guard does come around this way, and if he sees the body, he will get alerted. So we have to hide the body. I usually hide it behind here because there's basically no way for him to see it. If you don't see a good area where you can hide the body, you can always just hide it with a shadow, because it doesn't guarantee that the other guards won't see it, but it does minimize the chances, basically. Okay. So I'm gonna lock the door behind me, and let's jump down. Okay, so here we have yet another sewer section. Another piece of loot that is very easy to miss is upcoming here. So we have this sort of open chamber, and there is, if you look down, there is a entrance over here. A bit of a hole. I don't know what the purpose of this area is, like in the lore. It's just a random cave. But this is what I meant. There's 4 spiders here, and you can actually snap these guys off with no penalty. 4 arrows. The one that missed is actually here. If you shoot an arrow at a hard surface like rock or marble, it will basically break, it will snap. But if you shoot it at a soft surface like dirt or wood, it will stick to it and you can pick it back up. Very nice attention to detail.
Since I'm in here, I might as well pick up something for myself.
So, for some reason, it counts that as part of the mansion, even though this room obviously has nothing to do with the mansion, but it counts it. Otherwise, normally Garrett would say that line once you're inside of the mansion. But yeah, there is a bit of loot there. I believe that's a silver nugget. Oh, it's a diamond ring for worth 100. So we already have 300 out of the 700 loot that we need. This is a very easy mission. Obviously, I mean, it is the first mission, but yeah. And it's also very well designed, in my opinion. This is probably my third favorite mansion from the first game. And maybe like my fifth favorite mansion overall from all the... from both games. Now, I am going to be covering Thief 2 and Thief 3. I'm going to be covering Thief 2 and Thief 3 on this channel, so... But obviously, I'm going to start with Thief 1.
The sir could really beef up security some.
What do you mean? What's wrong with us?
Well, we're fine. But I've been thinking we should watch the outsides more.
That's stupid. People to worry about there on the inside.
No, then you catch them before they get inside, you taffer.
Oh!
Alright, so there's only 2 guards in the basement here, and usually what I like to do is I like to blackjack that guy and then take care of this guy. As you can see, these guys are very slow, but that will change. Guards will become faster and faster the further on you go. So their speed and their stats, even like their health and stuff, is dependent on the mission and not the difficulty. So later missions will have faster and stronger guards than these earlier missions. There is nothing down that way, but there is some stuff here. There is a bit of a secret room there. We'll get there later on in the mission. Over here we have a bit of a storage area. There, unfortunately, is absolutely no loot here. I think that's a missed opportunity. Would have been cool if there was something down here. But there isn't even any, like, items like arrows or whatnot. There's literally nothing there. There is a... I don't even know what is in that chest, to be honest. If you hear the little blink sound, that means that you've gotten loot from the chest. But if you hear a more, like, a thud... that means that you just got an usable item. This has a vase. Enemies will get alerted if you start throwing vases and other items around. So press R to lay it down on the ground, and this will not alert people. But if you right click, you'll throw it, and that will alert nearby enemies. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, that chest had loot in it. You can tell by the sound cue. It had some coins worth 5. Not very plentiful, but it's something. A sleeping servant there, and there is some other servants over here, which have a conversation. At least they're supposed to have a conversation. Okay, I don't know why it's not playing, but normally they have a conversation that gives some... that's kind of annoying, because their conversation does give some background into other areas of the city that we may or may not interact with in the future. Okay, there's a single servant here preparing food, I guess. Some loot. Now, food does actually have a use. You can use food to heal. It's not as effective as a healing potion, but... it is always an option, I suppose. If you're out of healing potions, but you have some food, you should just numb it down. Usually I like to hide this guy behind these barrels here. It doesn't really matter, you can actually leave this guy here, because there's no enemies that enter this room, so he will basically never be discovered anyway, but I like to hide them just in case. Well, not really just in case, but for immersion's sake. There's also notes that you can find and read scattered throughout. So this is our very first note. Cedric, please speak to cook about last night's dinner. While technically the menu conformed to my instructions, I suspect that the lamb was somewhat older than this spring's, and I am in no way fooled by his practice of warming the salad to disguise wilting. If Cook is incapable of finding adequate ingredients, he can be replaced. And if he offers those same excuses about the stone market shortages, please remind him that the grocery budget is a good 50% above last year's figures, and even he should be able to procure adequate victuals at those prices. Lord Bafford. What a spoiled bastard. So these notes are important because some of them could give you some valuable information about stuff in the level, or they could just be flavoring again. Just like the conversations that you hear. I will try to read all the notes, but no promises. Also, a cool fact is that you can actually cut down these banners with your sword, and some of them do have secrets behind them, like loot and whatnot. This mission has one such case, but I will only cut them down if they have something behind them, just show them to you. Over here we have another drunk guard. God, the guards of this guy are very, they're not very good, aren't they? They're not very good at their jobs. Okay, I'm gonna hide this guy in the same place, again, for immersion's sake. You don't have to do it, but you do have to take him out of that room because there is another guard that patrols and he will see him if you leave him just lying around. I would try not to spoil too much of this in case you do want to play it for yourselves, but it's good practice to always hide guards in, like, out-of-the-way rooms and especially in dark areas when you've played for the first time, until you learn the movement pattern of all the guards. I've played this game so many times. I would say after Half-Life, this is the game that I've played the most. So I already know all of, like, the movement patterns and the location of most items. But yeah, this section is always very nerve-wracking because there is a guard that patrols here, and what you can do is you can listen to nearby footsteps to literally determine where they're coming from and how close they are to you, which is, again, something that is really neat that not many stealth games, modern stealth games, tend to do. That's what makes this game the GOAT, as the kids say these days. Now, the first floor does have these sort of alcoves, I guess, that have like little towers with some stuff in them. Here we have some food, and an interesting fact is that you can pick up these plates for some reason in Thief 1 only. These plates do exist in the second game, but they don't get added to your inventory, but here they do. I don't know why. I guess they're supposed to be a replacement for the noisemaker arrows until you get them, because you can just throw these around and I guess like distract enemies, distract guards, but as it stands, they're just inventory fillers, so I'm gonna get rid of them because I don't really need them. I almost never use noisemaker arrows, and when I do use noisemaker arrows, I usually do it so in dire situations or when there's zombies involved and I want them to move towards a mine that I dropped or something. I'm not gonna go up to the second floor yet because there is some more stuff that we can get from the first floor here. Gotta be careful with this flooring here because that is marble. There's some loot here. Oh, we just heard the door open up, so there is a guard. The guard that actually patrols this area. Thankfully, he never comes inside of this room, but we still gotta be careful and sneak up on him. Now, a pro tip, if you just move very slowly, if you just spam W on tile, you're not gonna make a whole lot of noise, so that's very useful if you don't have any moss arrows on you. Okay, this guy I'm gonna move. This is the only guard that comes through here, so I can just leave him be, but I'm gonna still move him to this room because I want to showcase this to you. This room doesn't have anything useful to you, but it is a very dark room that nobody enters, so you can just use it to hide bodies. Let's say behind these boxes, for example. And over here, it just leads back into the kitchen. So this is what I mean, like the level design in this game is very well made. Almost all the levels are very intuitively designed, and although they are big, and maybe on your first time playing, you could get lost in them, they're still like so well designed that they always like loop in on each other and on themselves, and yeah, it's just I really need to write the script for the video. Alright, another note. To all staff, the sir will be taking his dinner and evening out tonight, so domestics and manservants have the night free. Housekeep is still expected to finish the quarters and the general polish. The house guard is not to find this an opportunity to shirk, and lapses will be brought up with the sir, Cedric. I'm gonna hide here because there is another guard here. And where am I gonna hide him? This is the dining room. It's very well lit, so I'm not gonna leave him here, even though, again, nobody enters this area. I'm just gonna put him behind the barrels where the other two are. There we go. Alright, let's go. Before I go inside those towers, I'm going to go in this room. This side room here. Pick up this goblet. Now, I am gonna show this off, but if you go through this door, you'll find yourself at the front entrance, and there's a lot of guards there, so never go there. There's nothing for you there. There's no loot. There's nothing, so... yeah, definitely avoid that area, just so you know. Okay, up here we have a way up to the second floor, some loot. And I believe the other tower had nothing, if I recall correctly. Yep, nothing. Okay. So let's climb up to the second floor now. We've pretty much gotten everything we can get from the first floor and the basement. I know there's a guard here, and I know he passes by here, so I'm gonna... okay, I think he's moving away. And as you can see, we have completed an objective. We've already gotten enough loot. Let me see how much we have. And this is only like half the loot that this mission has to offer. Yep, 782? I think so. I can't tell. It's way too tiny. I'm playing on a 2K monitor, so the GUI doesn't scale us properly. Alright, so up here we have... usually hide this guy in here. So here we have a very interesting area. This is like the center of the mansion. There's a pool with nothing in it. And there's these gardens, and what you can do here is you can climb up here, and I believe it was this way. I'm pretty sure it's this side. It's either this side or the other side, but this banner here... yep. There's a secret tunnel here, and this will take you straight into the throne room. I'm not gonna take this yet, because I wanna explore the rest of the place. And honestly, this way, you always end up taking some damage, so I don't really like going that way, but it is there. Just so you know. So that's like an alternative way of approaching the throne room. So there isn't just one way. Also, that is a very easy loot to miss. Very easy piece of loot to miss, that ring, because it's so tiny. Okay, so this is sort of like the main quarters of the big man himself, of Lord Bafford. There's two guards that are patrolling here. Both of them have a key for the throne room. So usually what I like to do is take care of the first guy, because almost all the time they're very well spaced out. Take care of him, and I bring him into this room. Even though it's well lit, nobody enters this room, so it's safe to dump him in that corner there. Even though his head clips through the wall, but as you can see, when I close the door, it turns invisible because of culling. And yeah, because he's still like inside of the other room, the other guy won't be alerted anyway. Speaking of which, here he comes. Now, you don't have to blackjack these guys. If you're playing Ghost, blackjacking is prohibited. But I always do it because I don't really like the Ghost playstyle, because I find it a bit too limiting for my liking. And I find it very heavily reliant on quick saving and quick loading, which is not very fun in my opinion. So here we have another dining room. I guess the one downstairs was for the servants. And the only wine that counts as loot is the fancy wine, which looks like so. The green wine doesn't count as loot, so don't even bother picking it up. Over here, these two doors lead to the throne room, so I'll save that for last. And over here we have the master bedroom with a tiara and some money. Then if we go around here, oh, this is marble, so this is basically inaccessible for you unless you blackjack those two guys. It's very hard to sneak past them otherwise. There's another bath, there's a big old bathtub here. But over here we have a quote-unquote secret area which will lead us to that room that we saw in the basement. And here we have a long hallway, and here's what I mean. Here's what I meant earlier with the jumping to gain a speed boost. It's not as noticeable here because the ceiling is too low, but yeah, you still get a bit of a speed boost when you do this. A very long spiral staircase down, and there is actually a reason to come down here, besides just a note and a key, which we already have 3 copies of this key by now. There is a piece of loot over here. I believe it's another wine bottle. Yep, another wine bottle. And here we have a sort of a ledger with 3 areas in the city. We have Sunnyfair, we have Dreckbound, and Fendon. And I guess these are like sort of establishments that Lord Bafford owns. And this is like their sort of income, monthly income. And you'll notice that there is a trend with Dreckbound getting like less and less payment. What the hell is going on with Dreckbound? Even if Genie is grafting, he damn well ought to be more subtle than this. If it's not turned around in another week, toss it up to Ramirez's breach. So apparently this Genie character is facing some trouble. And isn't providing Bafford with enough cash from Dreckbound. We're actually going to find out what the reason behind that is in this mission and also in one of the later missions. So like the overarching lore is tied in between missions, which is really cool as well. Just adds further to the immersion. The missions are obviously like individual missions and they're new locations every time, but they're not disconnected in terms of the world and the lore.
I wonder if he reads them or if it's just for show.
Lord Bafford, a recent delivery of antiquities from Bonn contains several items which we felt might be of interest to you. Descriptions follow, but you're welcome to drop by our shop to examine them or our other goods in person. An ornamental scepter, 3 feet in length. The body of the stave is werewood carved in the star and dot pattern. 6 inches of the ferrule and 5 inches of the grip are bound with burnished copper overlaid by an ink and glazed crocodile varnish. The crowning feature of this magnificent piece, however, is the 6-inch teardrop cut cloudstone, one of the finest of its type we have seen. A treasure box of 2 feet by 3 feet of silver birchwood. The lid is of inlaid perline and onyx in a maze pattern carved into the wood. The feet are lion paws, each clutching a crystal globe. The inside of the box contains 2 principal compartments, one with glass shelves and one without. Beneath the compartments is a lockable 2-inch false bottom for your most valuable treasures, Grimworth and De Perrin, fine antiquities and precious relics. Now what's interesting here is that it basically describes the same scepter that we're after, but it also mentions this treasure box. And I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be an inclusion, but it never made it in for some reason, because there's a lot of missions in this game where you actually have to get an additional special piece of loot if you play on harder difficulties. So my guess is that this was supposed to be one of those cases, but maybe they cut it off to, you know, make it a bit easier on beginners and newcomers. I don't know, but a bit of a shame, because that does sound like a very valuable piece of loot indeed. So I guess our lore explanation is that maybe Lord Bafford took it with him when he went to the party. And over here we have a piece of paper that we can actually pick up. Some of the notes that we can actually pick up and carry with us. Usually these are reserved for stuff that contain valuable information that we're going to need later on in the mission. This is not such a case. I don't know why you pick it up, but yeah, let's read it. Milady Bafford, speaks ye so to Ginny, did you bid? Dreckbound, the Hammerhearts have been afoot, a skulk, a flitting about, grabbing many a one to vanish in the coldstone down below their 4G chained cells. Took your jailer Tarkis in their clutches night past, and 2 patrons as well, named of Lazal and Ryan, scupped up as they left, and these not the first, cries Ginny. Little wonder then if Drekbound grows sparscome these days. Of course, the lack of blame to one hand, but it gave Ginny a firm understanding, blood and doom in the whole book, so he'll be learning him on all he can about how to turn the hammers off him, never you fear. About your Victoria, nothing yet. Walks she an inch above the ground, for all the dirt of her footprints have I found. Dominic. So, yeah, this is a very good introduction to the Hammerites. We're gonna learn a lot more about them in the next mission, but they're basically this religious sect that follow law and order, and they, even though there is a sort of a police force in the city, they're sort of like operate independently, and they're even more strict than the police. So we're gonna be careful with them. And this Victoria character will become relevant later on in future missions as well. There's a demonstration of the water arrow, and there is a reason why I did this. There is another guard here that... Yeah, you can hear him coming. If you listen closely, you can hear him coming from the right. So he's gonna come from that room there. So that's why I took out this torch, so that I'm well hidden. And also to demonstrate the water arrow. Okay, do we have anything over here? Nope. And I believe we've already... acquired, yeah. Yeah, this chest is empty, okay. Just making sure. Alright, let's move this guy over to the other garden area. So this is basically mirrored from the other side. With the garden and everything. There is nothing behind the banner up there. In fact, is there even a banner up there? Yeah, there is, but there's nothing behind that one. I also don't know what the point of this room is, because there's nothing in it. Okay, over here I'd like to darken this room.
Did you hear that too? I think there's someone...
Now, if you douse a flame nearby a guard, they will get alerted. As you heard there. But up here we have a bunch of loot. These are the guards' quarters. And I believe we have some more loot over here as well. This staircase leads you again to the front gate, so don't go there.
Did you hear a noise?
And up here we have a weird storage room, I guess, with some more loot. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that's all the loot in the mission. Let me take a look. No, it's not. Apparently I missed some. Wonder where I missed it. That room is empty. I do wonder where I missed some loot then. Because I know that the throne room ironically has no loot besides the scepter. And the scepter doesn't count as a loot item, it's a quest item. I think I missed something in the library here. Yes, here we go. This necklace. There we go. My bad. Yep, now we have all the loot. 1429 loot. That's how much we have in this mission. Alright, let's unlock this door. Douse this torch. So there is a guard here, and if you alert this guard, he will ring those gongs. And he will alert... I'm pretty sure that will only alert the guards immediately outside of this room. We already took care of them, but... Again, I want to do this preferably without being detected. Even though I said I wouldn't ghost it, I still want to be as efficient as possible. There we go.
It's a throne room. How pretentious can you get?
You're the king of the castle now, buddy. And here's the scepter.
Here we go.
And if we take a look at our objectives, we've basically done everything. All we have to do is return to the city streets. Now, we could go back the way we came from, but there is a bit of a shortcut that I will show you. But yeah, we've pretty much gotten everything that there is to get in this place. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna climb down to the first floor, and there is a shortcut that you can use to exit the mission quickly. Unfortunately, not all of the missions that require you to go back the way you came from have shortcuts like this. For example, the very next mission doesn't, which is really unfortunate. But the ones that do have it very useful. You know what? I'm gonna go through here because there's no more guards to be alerted by my presence here, just to showcase this area, because it's a very weird architecture. I'm not gonna lie. I've always found this very bizarre. Okay, and right here you can see that there is a extra section here, and yeah, this is basically an area that leads outside. Just flick on this lever and you're outside, and there you go, mission complete. You don't have to go all the way back. Alright, and here we are. We have successfully snuck into the manor and stolen the scepter, and we got all of the loot. Yeah, there isn't that much loot here, and it's very easy to remember where all of it is. As long as you explore every single room, you're very likely to find all of the loot. There's only like 1 or 2 items that I showcased. That one ring and the necklace in the sewers are probably the hardest ones to miss, and maybe the other ring inside of the spider room. But yeah, other stats, we've picked 4 pockets, all of them. Again, I'm not gonna go for 100% here, but I do like to check my stats every time. Took us 28 minutes to beat this. Normally it takes me way less, but with me talking, it takes longer. 12 knockouts, 0 backstabs. Damage dealt 107. That's probably because of the spiders. And yeah, as you can see, innocents killed none and others killed. We killed 4 spiders, but because they're not human, they didn't count towards the objective of not killing anyone, which is very interesting. So yeah, keep that in mind when you play this. I'm gonna pop a save and quit, because that's gonna be it for this first episode of Thief. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and as I said, 1 mission per stream and per video. Yeah, have a good one. Bye bye.